Good morning, Bernard.
Hi, good morning. All right, folks, we're going to get this started now. Like I said, you wanted to give folks just a few minutes to log in here. And without further ado, welcome to our Wednesday series of retirement roadblocks. And what we decided to do this Wednesday is just have a Q&A session. So folks can ask questions, get answers on retirement roadblocks, what annuities are, or anything that's annuity related, guarantee income related, IED related. And we're going to get those questions going for you. And then here, going to introduce Brandon. He's been with us with assisting us with the retirement roadblocks. Guy is a genius when it comes to annuities. So Brandon, take it away, my friend.
You set me up here now. Thank you, Bernard. I'm really excited to be with everyone today. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I've left the coat on the hook because this is a casual Q&A session today. We're not going to be serious, me talking at you the whole time. I am going to share, as I promised, just a quick recap of the previous couple weeks, and then we're going to get into the open forum, and we're going to answer as many questions as we can. Now, I undoubtedly believe that there is going to be a question or two that I may not know the answer off the top of my head, and if I don't, we'll capture that question and we'll follow up with you to make sure that we can get you the answers if you end up stumping me or I need to dig in a little bit further to get you the info. So just to recap real quick, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about retirement roadblocks. Specifically, we talked about longevity risk and we talked about inflation rate risk. And there's just a few key points that I want to make sure I reiterate here so that you have the information and the key points as you think about and talk to your clients about these specific topics. Number one, longevity rate. Remember, it's not just life expectancy. You have to go above and beyond. So what longevity is it's more about what is the right life expectancy for your clients age 65 who work with financial advisors. Again, you have to go and you have to use the annuity mortality tables to get a really accurate answer. It's going to move your number from 78 of a life expectancy more into those late 80s, because that is an accurate picture of what financial clients who work with agents who care about these types of issues have for a life expectancy. Now, remember, as you work with clients, you have access to these tools and calculators that allow you to share with your client this type of information. Remember, you have this ability to access this now because you work with IAD to help you simplify that success. This creates a very easy printout for your clients to take a look. What is the chances right now, based on the tables, that your clients are going to have a 30 to maybe even 40-year retirement? This is how you start the conversation, is by having a tool like this that shows here's what your expectancy looks like. The other one we've talked about so far is inflation. And what we know is inflation is, in essence, kind of a silent killer of your retirement savings. And what we also know is we've been in a period of low inflation for quite some time. And what is the future going to be? Well, it depends on if we have taxes going up or if we have spending going down. What's that going to look like? But what we do know is at standard inflation rates, 3-point change that we've had in the past, I think it's 3.12, that causes a client's need for income to double over the course of 24 years. So if you take a look at, again, the inflation risk calculator, you can show your clients what is the effect that inflation has on, well, a couple of things. One, their savings in a bank account or a CD, as well as their retirement savings over time. It'll show you exactly how much is at risk of losing from purchasing power. Now, I did share that I would give you a best practice or a way that I would approach this when working with clients. And it's just using these two tools. You go ahead, you put in your client's information, and you can have this conversation where if this was my client, I could say, you know, there is a 25% chance that you're going to make it into your late 90s. That means we need to be planning for a 30-year retirement. Well, based on average inflation rates in 30 years, you're going to need to make up this much purchasing power over time. Have you had the discussion with anyone around a protected lifetime income stream to help you plan for that? Depending upon what they say, you've now opened the conversation to say, well, let's talk about that, because I don't know if you heard, I now have this tool in my tool belt. I can help you with that. So my top tip today is going to be looking or contacting Bernard, your IAD marketer. Take a look at these two calculators. Have them for clients. It takes 5 minutes at most to put these two together, and you can hand this to them, send it home with them to say, if you haven't thought about this, we really should, because I can help you. That's my brief recap. That's my tying it together. So what I'm going to do is we are going to transition now, questions and answers, open forum, and I am going to do my best to make sure I get you guys all the answers you're looking for. So Bernard, I know you are our MC here, so I will let you kind of introduce and take it away.
All right, folks, you can unmute yourselves. I think I figured it out how you guys will be able to talk. If you can't, just type your question into the chat and we'll answer it that way. But folks here, it's open forum. If you have any questions, shoot. Or let me know if you can speak.
Bernard, how do we get the slides for the presentations?
How can we get the slides for the presentations?
Yeah, so if I'm presenting this Friday to my client, how would I
Sure.
get the slides?
I can email you the PowerPoint presentation, and yep, I can send that to you.
Okay.
You can use that. Yep. The presentation also have talking points in there, so when you're doing the presentation, the little talking points are at the bottom that you can also use to go through the presentation with.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Right. And yes, Kapu, I will be glad. I will send you that presentation as well. While you guys are thinking of some questions, here's just a few things with IAD. In addition to the annuity carriers that we have brand new annuity carriers on board with us. American Equity, Athene, F&G, Legacy Marketing. They have two proprietary products with Americo and Emeritus, Lincoln Financial, National Western, Prudential, and Reliance Standard. All of these carriers are actually the top carriers in the annuity market space. A couple other things new with the Insurance Advisors Direct. I'm putting together an incentive plan. So if all you folks are going to start offering annuities, I need to create an incentive plan that will help you out. So I'm working on that. That should be ready in the next 2 weeks. We're also working on new lead vendors. So if you all are looking for leads, we have, I want to say, I think 7 discounted lead vendors that have been vetted. So that will be in the works, and you should be getting that out in the next couple of weeks as well. Folks, you can visit our website, and when you create your sign into our portal, you register, sign into our portal, I want you to go over to the sales community, and you'll see different buildings. Each building is marked with each thing that we do, but I also want you to pay particular attention to our retirement roadblock center. And other thing is for June, the month of June is actually National Annuity Awareness Month. And for the month of June, the different FMOs, carriers, they do different things. But what we're going to do here at Insurance Advisors Direct, we're going to extend that from June to AEP. So it's going to give you a huge amount of time to gather annuity business with retirement roadblocks. And of course, going to set up a special incentive plan for that as well. So we have a lot of good things going. I guess maybe a big question is what's an annuity? So maybe
Yeah.
Brandon, you can touch on that. And
Yep, I was actually going to
Yeah.
say, as people are putting things through, there's a couple of common questions that come up that I'd love to speak to as we get more questions coming through, and maybe this will help trigger some questions. So what is an annuity at its very basic is it's a contract between an insurance carrier and a client. And then essentially what it says is the client agrees to fund this annuity contract with X amount of money. In exchange for that, the client is going to receive a guaranteed protected lifetime income of X amount based on age, based on the premium amount, but that's going to be extended for their life. And it never runs out and it never stops. For couples, we can do this joint coverage as well, where if, let's say, for example, my wife and I retired, if I had the majority of the savings for our family in my retirement account, I would then be able to create an income stream that would be a joint coverage that would say, you know what, even though the savings are in my account, if I were to pass away and before her, that income continues the exact same way for her. So something not to worry about, or, vice versa, if she had the majority in her account. A lot of people ask then, how does that work? How can an insurance company do that? Like, where's the catch? What's the trick? And the trick is in annuities, they have something called mortality credits. Only product that has this in the entire world works on these mortality credits. And in order to explain it, I'm going to share with you a little story. And what this is it explains how mortality credits work and how products like this can benefit clients and how insurance companies make them work. And what mortality credits is, I'm going to tell you a story of 4 old men who go on a fishing trip. This is the best way that I can explain this. If 4 men go on a fishing trip, or 4 women, and they decide that when they're up at this cabin, they go every year, they decided that what they're going to do is they're going to take $25 a piece, put it in a box and bury it. And then every year they're going to come back and they're going to see, where's that money? They're going to dig it up and they're going to have fun. But let's say in between this year and next year, one of them pass away. Well, now there's 3 men, they show up, they go to their cabin, they dig up the box. They all put in $25, but now since there's 3 of them, they all now have $33. So they just got a 30-ish% return on their investment, and it was in nothing. It was buried in the ground, but because there were fewer of them to collect, the number goes up. If it happens again the next year, and only 2 of them return, they've now doubled their investment, and they had nothing in the stock market. They had no return whatsoever. And that is how these credits work on these annuity products. They're geared with math and science to basically determine that half of the folks that use these products may pass away before fully getting a big payout, because that's just the law of numbers. But many of them are going to live longer. And as those numbers balance out with the math, that's how the company can afford it, because the longer you live, the more mortality credits you earn and the higher your return on that initial investment is. So a really great way to think about these types of products are for that guaranteed income stream. If you have clients that want to leave money behind or they have a legacy desire, go for life insurance. Because one of the keys is that as you think about this, and one of the conversations we have is, you use life insurance to leave something behind. You use that product, that's going to give you the biggest return on your money to leave a legacy behind. But for the rest of your funds, let's use them. You never want to be the richest person in the cemetery. You want to use your money that you have now, leverage the stuff, the money that you have to leave a legacy through life insurance, but guarantee your income so that you can live the kind of lifestyle you want. So many people are ending up not spending or being afraid to spend money in retirement because they don't want to run out of money. Using these guaranteed protected income products, people can actually feel more comfortable to spend money because they know what's going to be there, and they don't have to necessarily worry about, well, the market's down this year. Can we have a trip? I don't know. And then by the time that they feel comfortable to do it, they're too old to go on a trip. So this is a way to help clients live the kind of retirement that they want.
Yep. So, I mean, to add on to that, and that's probably why we brought on the retirement roadblock platform, is that I just don't want folks out here selling annuities. So you have a client, Bobby Joe, what can you do for me here? I'll put that $250,000 in an annuity and that's it. We want to bring value to that, and we want you to help your client understand this is why you need to put that 250 into an annuity or into a guaranteed income product. We just don't want you going out there selling an annuity. So we always want to bring value to your business, and this is part of the reason why we have this retirement roadblocks.
Yeah, I think so. Gary, you asked a great question: annuity versus life insurance. And when you think about that, again, the way that I've thought about, the way that I approach it is, for life insurance, for me, for my family, and for the clients I've worked with before, that is the money we want to leave behind. That is our legacy that we're not going to use it. We want to leave something behind for our families. The biggest return on your dollar is going to be life insurance. But once that's covered, we need to find a way to live our life while we're still here. That is where these protected lifetime incomes come into play. And there's a lot of different types, and every client is a little bit different. I've worked with clients that have 5 or 6 of these products that are geared to turn on every couple years. And the idea there is, as inflation starts to become an issue, they can turn on another one. And as inflation comes, they turn on another one. And so they use laddered types of approaches. I've seen folks that leverage what's called rising income annuities, where the way it works is, from day one is your worst check. And every year that there's a return in the market, your income goes up. So over time, you can keep pace with inflation. So when it comes to life insurance versus annuities, I think they both have a place in someone's financial plan if that's what they're looking for, but different ways of going about it and different ultimate goals for those funds. You can use both and many different types in the same plan, depending upon what the client wants. But that's something we can absolutely take a look at and approach and see if we can't find a good option. I'll share with you a real life success story. I was working with an advisor, and he was in a situation where he had a client that had a spouse that was much younger. And the issue they were trying to figure out was, they had a specific amount of money and they were looking for a guaranteed income stream, but if the elder husband were to pass away, they wanted to make sure that the spouse was going to be covered. Well, what we were able to do is, by running the numbers, looking through at how we could structure the products, we were able to take their amount of money and create an income stream based on the husband that would guarantee a specific amount of income for their whole, for the life of while he was around. and then use the side or the other amount of the income to actually fund a life insurance policy for the wife. So now while he's alive, they have guaranteed income. When he ends up passing away, chances are before her, she now has a lump sum coming over tax-free that she can then use to determine, does she want to start a new income at that point, or does she want to do something else? Because again, as these are based on age, every situation is going to be a little bit different. And working with Bernard or your IAD marketer, you're going to be able to figure out what's the right approach, and we can help you to do that. And many times it's going to be a couple combinations of things to make sure we get the right one. And there may be times that we have a solution we feel good about. We go to the client and they say, well, I want to change it a little bit. That's fine. We can do that and we can adjust. Ultimately, it ends up being the client's decision. And what we can do is we can bring the best options we can find to them and present it in a way that's easy to understand. But then again, they get to make the final call. All we can do is kind of lead them to the solution and see if they agree that it fills their gap.
Yep. So yeah, I'll throw out some questions that I think folks may ask, and I'm
Sure.
pretty sure guys are thinking about, well, I'm a Medicare agent. So how does that, here, I'll do this. Don has her hand raised. Go ahead, Don.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was just, wondering, being kind of new to annuities, it feels a little overwhelming. So is there a tool that we could input information to kind of narrow down the products to look at? So when we interview our client, we get the financial statement from them of what their finances are and kind of what their goals are. What tools do we have to kind of navigate to certain products to look at?
Well, the biggest thing so far is myself, and then I have the backing of branding. And we're actually working on getting an interactive tool for that. But for the time being, myself and with the help of Brandon is the biggest tools that you will have.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I'll say, Don, and the reason that it comes through that way is
Yeah.
Bernard and I have access to an aggregate that basically is a tool that takes a look at every annuity that's out there that exists, and
Mhm.
we're able to type in a client scenario and it'll send us, hey, here's the top products for that particular client. The issue that comes into play then is sometimes, because it's all of them, it's going to include a product that maybe is a lower rated carrier than we would like to deal with. Because these are, as we've been talking, 30-year contracts, we want to make sure we're vetting the right companies that have the right finances. So you don't run into, situations that some folks are dealing with where, a carrier is going out of business because they didn't have the right finances and other companies are having to come in and offer buyouts. We want to avoid all of that. So we're able to just basically take a look. Here's what's out there based on the strong finances, and we can bring you the right products. It's just when you dive into the ocean of what exists out there, it's a lot of information comes back. So we're able to help you kind of navigate to make sure you don't get that overwhelmed feeling amplified by here's every piece of potential input you could have.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Cassandra has asked, do you also have 5 or 10-year contracts for people over 65?
Yes, that's a great question. And we do. So we've been talking about this retirement roadblock protected income stream a lot. And the reason we did is because that seems to be the best way to get started. But you bring up a really interesting question. And what it is right now, and we're seeing a lot of this, is if I'm looking at the bond market, and let's say I'm a client that I'm not really aggressive anymore, I'm looking at some conservative investments, but I want to grow. I want to see some growth in my accounts. if you look at the current bond market, what you're going to see is the predictors, and the ones I'm using is Prudential's Global Investment Management Team. They're predicting the US bond market to be around 1 to 1.5% for the next 10 to 15 years. So where we see a lot of people leverage an annuity-like product, especially an index annuity, is as a better bond alternative. So what this does, a product like a 5 or a 10-year product that isn't tied to an income stream, actually gives a client the ability to take a portion of their funds, say that would have been in bonds or a conservative account like a CD, move it into an annuity that is geared for this 5 to 10 years. And what they then have access to is index linked return. So it's an equity like return that generally historically averages around the 3 to 5% over time. Could be higher, could be less, but that's a general average. And so they can guarantee that they cannot lose. The money will never go down, but then they can use it for 5 to 10 years as a alternative to their bonds. And when those 5 to 10 years are up, they can make a decision at that point. Do they want to look at it as income? Do they want to look at a renewed type of contract, or do they want to just walk away and take their money and go do something completely different? And they can. We do have those products available, and they are built as bond alternative investments, especially with the bond market looking like it may be low for long, is kind of the term you hear from time to time now. But yes, great question. We do have those.
Capu, you had your hand raised. You have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much for organizing this. This is very useful. I have a question. Like, for example, we had met with a client who was going to invest like about 200,000 in an annuity, and then she had a question like, what happens like if I get that 200,000 in income? Okay, they lived till that time, and all the 200,000, whatever they've put in, they've taken it. So if they continue to live, is the annuity going to continue to pay them past the 200,000 also?
Yeah, that's a great question. So short answer is absolutely. Longer answer is that is a little bit how these are designed. And as we work through client situations, what I'll tell you is our goal is we want to get the client's account value to zero as fast as we can. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the idea is to set them up with a product, because what the insurance company is going to do is, while that their money's in there, the money that's coming out, that first 200,000 for your client, is their money coming back to them. And everything after that is all pure profit. So the goal that we have is we want that 200 to be used up, because every year after that is just more return on their investment. And based on how the annuity is set up, if they live to 150, they will continue to get that income until 150. They essentially are getting the benefit of all those mortality credits. So absolutely, once their money's gone, they will continue to get paid until either the annuitant, single or joint, one passes or both pass away.
Okay. Wow, that's very interesting. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, Don has a question. When the annuity annuitized, is the client sent a payment each month or a yearly payment?
Good question. Their choice. Many companies allow them to set it up how they would like. And when you elect that income, which as we go into more case discussions, we'll get into the difference between a withdrawal or an income rider and an annuitization. But when they elect that income, they can choose at that time how they want to receive those checks.
Brandon, this money is considered as income and they would be taxed, correct?
Yeah, so it depends on how long they've waited. It depends on their tax qualified or non-qualified premium. But one of the things that we can do is based on their cost basis, when we run an illustration, we could show you how the taxes would affect this product. But long story short, some of it is, some of it isn't. It depends
Okay.
on the payouts.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of you guys on the call are Medicare agents, and you're probably wondering, well, annuities are difficult, but I'm here to tell you that Medicare is more learning Medicare because there's so many there's just so many rules that it's more complicated than an annuity. So you guys are a step ahead of the game in learning how annuities are. Plus, you have the clients, those senior clients that need your help, that need that guaranteed income, and you can pick and choose which clients will benefit from this. But the main thing is that I'm here and IAD's model is to simplify your success. So that's what I'm here for, is you have those clients, and if you need, we'll run those illustrations for you, we'll explain it to you, we'll teach you of how to do an annuity presentation. And if you need us to be on that client call with, we're always available to help you with that. But you have those Medicare clients that need your help really bad. I think it was a $200+ billion market space for folks that need guaranteed incomes. So there's about 80% of seniors are taking advantage of guaranteed income, but there's that 20% that needs your help. And I would rather for you all to do it than Joe Blow, financial advisor that doesn't know anything about the client. They just know they're going to sell this annuity, but you're going to bring that value to your client. So I think another question probably would be, well, how do I get started with this?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's the kind of question that we want to know. Again, the way to get started is take a look at your clients that you think might be interested in having a conversation like this. Surveys and statistics show it's those clients in that 55 to 70 range is where half of all annuity products are being sold. Interestingly enough, millennials are buying a ton of them now. But that range where people are, looking at retirement and starting to think about, how long is my money going to last? They have a question about, how long is my money going to last? What are some of the ways that I can create something like my parents had, like a pension, or something where I have some guaranteed income and I don't have to worry? Those are some great clients to have a conversation about. I have this new opportunity, this new tool in my tool chest. Is this, if you've had a concern about this, let's talk about how we can help. In between that meeting and your first meeting with the client, reach out to Bernard and say, hey, I'm going to get in front of some people. Can we set up a time to talk about how do these conversations go? And how do I talk about this with clients? And what I'll tell you is, the first couple times you start having these conversations, it's going to feel a little more like heavy lifting than it's going to be rinse and repeat. But once you get this down, as Bernard said, this is, and I don't have experience in Medicare because I was always intimidated by it. And it seems far more complicated than what I've been dealing with. And so once you get those basics down, it is a lot of rinse and repeat, because the conversations are the same conversations. They just shift a little based on the client situation, but they're the same. I'm concerned about my retirement. I'm concerned about not running out of money. All of those are very common concerns that people have. We can help you fill in the spaces in between each client situation. But once you start having these, it is very repetitious around, this is the same conversation people need to have. And it'll feel like a lot at first, but you will definitely get there. So to sum it up, take a look at your client base. Do you have a few people that would benefit from this conversation? See if they're interested or they've been having concerns around this. Call Bernard and we'll talk it through. And we can give you all the talking points and tools to have these initial conversations, as well as connect with you along the way to make sure that you feel confident in the product, in the idea, in the piece. We'll show you the math and science behind it, so you know, no matter what, you're doing the right thing for your client, and you can show it to them. And we'll walk you through the math. We can definitely do that.
Yep. So we have another question from Ms. Dawn. When you have an annuity that you can add a premium to, can you do so monthly? And that's the first question to that. So
that's a good question. I think it depends on which type of annuity you have. Some carriers have different rules. Some carriers have a rule that your premium can only be over a certain period. So for example, I think Athene has an 18-month. After that, no more premiums can go into it. So it's more of this one lump sum or a couple lump sums to fund it. But then there are other companies like National Western that say, fund this as long as you want. We don't care. And so it really depends on which kind of product you were looking for. But again, that's one of those, if that's a client goal, we'll take it to our carriers and see what we can do.
Yep. Second part of the question is the annual point set at each of the premium payments that are received? And then is there a benefit to this capturing more of the movements of the market?
Yeah, so again, that's a very good question. It depends. Again, I'll say, I think when it's point to point, I think at that particular moment, because some of these annuities don't allow premiums after a certain amount of time. So point to point is more of a determinant around, from one contract anniversary to the next. I am honestly not certain how it works if you add multiple fundings. I can certainly look into that. Again, because I think it's a little different per annuity and what type of index return you're looking for, because there are participation rates, caps, spreads, all of that. But I think it's depending upon each one of those individual decisions, it changes a little bit based on the annuities that you're looking for. So I know we're going to be talking later this week, so I'll definitely kind of ask you a little more about what you're thinking, and I can find you an answer for certain.
Okay. We have a question from Danny. What are the tax implications to the client for moving money from a CD to an annuity?
So an annuity is a tax deferred vehicle. So when you put the money in, all of your growth is deferred over time. So if they had a CD where there may be some growth, they may have to take a look at some gains taxes on that. But once it's in that annuity, they don't pay taxes on anything until they decide to take it out. And depending upon their age and in the method at which they take it out, that'll change the tax implications a little bit each way. But in terms of going from a CD into this, it's not a taxable event as like a penalty, or you may have, again, there may be some gains if you had some returns on that. Otherwise, this is a move you can go ahead and move the funding into. There are other types of products like going life insurance to an annuity. If the life insurance need isn't there, there's special rules that you can do that without creating a taxable event. So as clients look at funding these, funding part of it's the actual real easy part.
Yeah, so actually, and Danny also had a second part, but I'm going to add more to the CD to an annuity. Now, there's 2 months where CDs are renew, and that is April and October. Those are the 2 biggest months that CDs renew. And then, you can take that money out and then put it into that annuity. But let's just say if, Danny, you have an annuity, CD, and it doesn't renew, let's say it you want to take it out in November. So in order to do that, if you take that out, there's going to be a penalty, but that penalty is usually like 0.5%, anywhere from 0.5, 0.6% of the money that you have in there, which is, we could possibly find an annuity with a bonus, with the 8, 7, 8, 9, 10% bonus that will actually recoup a lot of that money that you want to put into that annuity. So sometimes with CDs, I wouldn't worry too much about that little penalty, because it's just pennies on the dollar as opposed to putting it into an annuity. The second part of that question is, how do you answer the person who compares annuity strategy to playing the market?
Yep, good question. And that's one that comes up a lot, actually, especially as I work with advisors. So I usually go kind of two ways with this. One is I start to explain annuities aren't supposed to be your whole portfolio. They are a complement to a portfolio that helps you to create a stable income stream that gives you more control over the risks of the market. So that's where I start, is to say, this is not something we're going to throw a whole portfolio into. This is a complement to create an income stream. The other things I would talk about is, number one of the risks that you cannot account for in the stock market is what's called sequence of return risk and the law of large losses. So the market has been up, what, 50-some% over the last year. If you ask someone, well, when the market goes way, way up, what happens next? Most of the time, they're going to say it's going to go down. And what the risk clients have is, if they have a full portfolio where they are leveraging their investments for income, if the market drops and they have to sell when the market is down, they are locking in these losses that can drastically affect someone's portfolio. There's a rule called the law of large losses. So let's say if I had $100 and the market went down 30%, well, my 100 becomes 70. Now, let's say the market then comes up 30%. I'm not back at 100. I'm back at actually 91,000 or $91. I haven't gotten whole yet. I need the market to go above and beyond 30% to get back to where I was. Imagine if that goes down 30% and then I had to sell maybe $5 for income. Well, now I'm at 65. Now I need the market to come back almost 40 or 50% just to get back to normal. So by leveraging annuities, you can help to control and take over that risk and take some of the weight and pressure off the portfolio. So if there is a down year, you have another income stream to allow those assets to grow again and regain where they were. Next week, we're going to be talking about something called sequence of return loss. I'm going to actually show you the difference of what happened when somebody retired in 1996 versus when someone retired in 1999. Same situation, same investments, exact same portfolio. The only difference is one retired in 96, one retired in 99. And because of the downturn we had in 2000, the difference between those two portfolios today is almost $1.9 million. Because somebody retired at the wrong time, they couldn't control the market, locked in these losses early. Her portfolio is, saying her because it's Bill and Jill, is $1.9 million of difference just because she retired when the market went down. That's going to show a really good example of how to talk about leveraging guaranteed income versus relying on the market and what risks you have by doing that. We'll preview.
Yep. All right, Brandon. And we had a couple more questions coming in. So first is Kapu wants to know, can you do a 1035 into an annuity?
Yes, that's a way that a lot of folks have used. If they had life insurance that they had been building up to, say, cover a mortgage, cover their kids' college education, as those kids go to college and they no longer have the need for a lot of this coverage, you can transition those funds into an annuity now that you've got a new goal for those funds. If life insurance is no longer something that you need, or you get to the point that you've earned enough to self-insure, you can move those assets into an annuity 1035 exchange.
All right, question from Gary, annuity for long-term care.
Yep, great question. So there's a couple ways to think about this. There are some annuity products that have a specific long-term care rider. Those are going to be the ones that you can leverage for some income or as a long-term care side. Those products have an underwriting process to them, and there's only a couple that are still in that space that are really strong. The other way that people will use these is actually what's called an income doubler. So the idea is, if you put some of your funds, so for example, let's say a client's in their 60s or 70s, they don't have long-term care, maybe it's too expensive, maybe they can't be underwritten, but they do have a desire to want to have at-home care, or they want to help pay for some things if they get sick. And there are specific annuities that have a clause on them that if you use your funds and you qualify by not being able to do 2 out of 6 ADLs, it will actually double your income. So if your income you were supposed to get that year was 10,000, but you have qualified because you are sick or in need of care, they'll double your income for 5 years to help you pay for those expenses, or until the person who needs those expenses passes away. They call those enhanced benefits or income doublers. What's really also interesting about those is, let's say you have a husband and a wife, and they had a joint annuity. The husband gets sick, he needs care. The wife is still just perfectly healthy. That doubler could kick in for 5 years or until the husband passes away. And then once that happens, it goes back to normal, and it will still cover the wife for the rest of her life. So you get the double income to help with those expenses when they're there. And then when the unfortunate happens, the wife knows that even though she used double income for 3 or 4 years, she still has the original contract that will continue to pay her the way that it was set up until she passes away. So you have kind of a parachute there to help if something were to unexpected were to arise. But we can definitely talk about those.
It sounds too good to be true. I can't believe it.
It's the math. Again, it's these mortality credits. These are the only products that exist out there that have these options that are on them. And I believe Bernard and I have heard that it's too good to be true. How does that work? A few times when we've kind of been introducing this. But as you have those questions, happy to sit down, show you the math, kind of pull the curtain away from the wizard and show you what's going on behind the scenes, because it does work that way, and these products are designed for those purposes.
That's right.
I have another question just to that, Brenton.
Mhm.
If somebody, as you said, 2 out of 6 activities of daily living, if they're unable to do, they qualify. Now, do they have to be in an institution for care, or can they be at home? And then the second question is, do they have to have any kind of disease to them, like a condition or something like that associated with it? Or is it simply the 2 activities of daily living?
Got it. So good question. And I'll go back to it. Depends on the carrier. So for example, Athene has a product that for them, they needs to be qualified care in a place, right? You have to be in an institution. Yep.
Institution. Okay.
North American though does not. And so depending upon what the client's goals are, we could take a look at what's going to be the right product for that, which again is part of why Bernard and I are here to know the difference between those two. But each one's a little different, and many of them now are gearing more towards it just has to be the 2 out of 6 ADLs. Many of them also have other riders or kind of exit plans around terminal illness. If somebody gets diagnosed with a terminal illness that says, hey, you've got a year or so to live, many companies then say, great, go and access your money. So as we have those conversations, as clients have those concerns, we can definitely talk through them.
Very
Yep.
great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Don has a question. What % of a portfolio do you want to have in an annuity?
Yep. Great question, Don. Thanks for bringing that up. Honestly, my rule of thumb is first, we have to take a look at the client's situation. And again, I try to tend towards 30 to 40% of a client's retirement savings could be leveraged for a guaranteed income stream. Reason is that still allows enough flexibility and enough liquidity should something happen unexpected. However, if the client has a defined need and they are able to say, I need this amount of money every year to accomplish my retirement goals, and in order to get that guaranteed income stream, it maybe takes a little more than that, we can always take a look and actually go to the carriers to say, hey, here's why we're putting more of this client's portfolio. I think up to 50% is what some carriers will take a look at. But if we have a reason and a goal, and here's how it's solving it, we can actually put together a letter that many carriers actually have on the shelf. We just fill it out to say, here's why we're doing more of their net worth than say 30% or so. So sum it up, really depends on the client, but in my rule of thumb, I've always kind of tended towards 30% or so when I've worked with clients when I was an advisor. That was generally my rule of thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, folks, do we have any other questions?
I have one other question, but I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. Go ahead.
Okay, how do you advertise? Because I know that there is a lot of rules related to how you advertise. Like, are you allowed to do something on social media? Like, hey, listen, do you want to talk about annuity? Call me. Or, what are your guidelines?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So
Okay.
that's a great question. And I think there's really 3 ways that I would go about doing it. Number one, again, by working with IAD, you have access to the Retirement Roadblocks platform. Now, what that has is it's got a client brochure. It has pre-approved client-facing videos that are about 2 to 3 minutes long. Those videos are already linked, and you're able to post those online. They're approved. We have all of the letters that go along with those. There's the tools, the white papers, and the calculators that exist there. So what I would do is I would start talking to my clients that I have meetings with or that I have strong relationships with to share with them. Here's something I've added to my business. Would love to talk to you about it. Or if you have any friends or family that you care about that have had some concerns, I'd be happy to meet with them. Start there. And then as you have a social media presence, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook, leverage those videos to put something out to say, hey, great news. I'm adding a new tool to my tool belt. Take a look at sequence of return risk. Take a look at longevity risk. If you thought about this and didn't know where to go, let me know and we can talk. And then I think the third part of it would be using the client approved presentation and start doing either webinars, virtual webinars around here's the Retirement Roadblocks platform, or as things kind of open up and people start to get back into going out and doing things at venues, leveraging the presentation to get in front of some more of those clients. And all of those things are already, you have access to as part of your IAD, as part of the IAD family. And what's really nice is to leverage those things. It doesn't cost anything. They're all out there and you have access to them right now.
Yep.
Thank
All
you.
right.
To
Go
piggyback
ahead.
on that, is there a PPT to go with that webinar?
Yep. It's
Oh.
It's approved, it's scripted out in there, and you're able to just log in, click it. If you saw me do it 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
that's it. And I didn't memorize that. I was reading the script, and you can do it the exact same way.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
Yep.
you.
So we have Danny has a question. He said, I've seen suitability statements being required. Is that due to agents making mistakes in placing the annuities?
Yes, so great question. And yes, partially from agents and partially for clients. What we saw is when variable annuities had a very big boom in the 80s and 90s, and many of them were sold, and clients, because they were so new, didn't have a great understanding of them, didn't exactly know what they were getting into, and even some agents didn't know what they were stepping into and signing the clients up for, because they can be complicated, not like Medicare, but there are some things you should know. So what these suitability statements are for is so that the carriers, when they take on these contracts as an agreement with these clients, they have an understanding of where is the money coming from. Is the client have a full understanding of what it is they're getting into? It's really for protection side for client, advisor, agent, and the carriers. So it's a pretty basic suitability form to make sure everyone understands. Because of the fact that it is a contract, it's a little more of a legal binding approach. So that's where you see those suitability forms coming into play.
Yeah, I kind of liken that to for life insurance as underwriting guides. So
Yeah.
same principle. This is just a financial underwriting as opposed to a doctor underwriting for the product. So Don asks, can you talk about the income potential when you add annuities to your business?
Well, you teed it up, Don. Thank you. That's a great question. And to be honest, it can be a game-changing difference for agents and advisors who start leveraging these types of products. Because I'm going to talk about two things. Number one, what Fidelity, which when you think of Fidelity, you probably don't think annuities, you think they manage assets and they manage investments. They actually did a study and they found advisors with their company that used annuities captured more assets under management. So when you think about income potential, you can help clients with more of their assets, with more of their portfolio by leveraging these. Now, taking a look at the other side of it, there's really three ways that you can get compensated for leveraging annuities. It's upfront, it's a little upfront, a little over time, or a little mostly over time. And we can talk about how to set that up, but in general, as a general rule of thumb, and again, each one's a little bit differently, but if you're talking about a retirement income product that's a 10-year product, your payouts are around 5-6% upfront. So if you've got a client that has $200,000 looking at some kind of retirement income product, for you, that could be 4, 5, or 6% payout right away. So if you're looking at, for a client with $100,000, that's 4,500 or 4,000, 5,000, maybe 6,000, depending upon the product. You do that a few times over the course of a year, that adds up. If you have a client that has a large case, larger than that, those numbers then go up. I have advisors that just started stepping into this, and they're going to double their income this year because of leveraging products like this and adding it to what they've been doing with their clients that they've already been working with. So the income potential is huge when you get into these products. And even if you decide to go the route of, I don't want it up front, I want to build it out over years and years, generally the trails are around 1%. So you get 1% every year that the client is in a contract like this. You think about that over a 20, 30-year retirement, you can build yourself a really nice floor. Every January, you come into your practice knowing, wow, I have all of this recurring trails that now I are basically giving me a guaranteed level of income that I now have as the business owner and agent for these clients. again, something we can talk about as you have opportunities arise, because we'll make sure you know what the products and how you can choose your compensation for your work to get these things placed.
All right, I think that is it for the questions. So I believe that the next step is, well, what is my next step? Well, folks, your next step is after this webinar, I am going to send everyone our contracting link that you, and I'm going to suggest that you get two annuities, Athene and American Equity, and get those. Now, unfortunately, there is certification, but it's not like the AHIP. It is a 4-hour credit course through Reg Ed. It's free of charge to agents, and I will send you that link as well. So if you're not doing anything this weekend, knock it out. It takes maybe about 45 minutes to do, and you can, it's like I said, it's not like AHIP where it's 3 chances and you're out. You can keep doing it over and over until you pass it. So it's no big deal. Send you the contracting link, the Reg Ed link, and we'll take it from there. So I'm really excited. I think everyone on here will do really well with this. And like I say, Brandon and I, we're here to make that successful for you. And Don put on here, thank you, Brandon and Bernard. Don, thank you. Actually, it's been a pleasure. Don is actually our first case. She has a case going on now, and hopefully she'll get that taken care of soon. But yeah, actually, Don, maybe if you want to give a few words or just tell about how the process has been for you being new to annuities.
Well, thank you, Bernard. So yeah, I kind of really wanted to say this. So thank you for letting me chime in here. So it did feel overwhelming. I've done a few cases in the past, but it's been several years and I didn't really have the support because the person that I was under, it was new to them too. So I felt really, really like, it's kind of scary. So I backed off of that, got into Medicare, and I've been kind of overwhelmed with learning Medicare the last couple of years. I feel like I've gotten that under my belt, and I had an opportunity to just walk right up to me. One of my clients said, "Hey, Dawn, can you do an annuity for me?" And I said, "Sure." And so we're going to have cases like that where people are going to ask if we can do something for them. And I was lucky enough to have that. So we're looking at 150 to 200,000 annuity that I'm going to be presenting on Friday. And Bernard and Brandon have been walking, well, really just holding my hand through the whole thing. So I'm feeling more and more confident. The Reg Ed training was not difficult at all, and the reward as far as the just helping somebody make sure that they're safe, in their retirement, that feels really good to me. The idea of securing someone's future and helping them with that decision feels really good to me. And the other part of that is for myself. I mean, I'm looking at, if he does a $200,000 case, that's probably about $11,000 in my pocket for trying this out. That's a pretty good incentive for learning something. And it's not that hard. Honestly, it doesn't seem as hard now after the last few weeks of digging into it a little bit. It doesn't seem too overwhelming, not like Medicare. That's for sure. So thank you. And Bernard and Brandon have been immensely helpful. So
thank you, Don.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right, folks. If that's it, it has been a pleasure. Brandon, thank you, my friend. It's been a pleasure for us to have you on here assisting us. And my God, we can definitely make this work for everyone.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for your engagement. As Gary said, have a great weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy some time with families, and let us know where we can help. We're here.
That's right, folks. Have a,
Thank
a
you.
blessed Memorial Day weekend. Don't eat too much barbecue this weekend. But folks, no, thank you. Have a great week and see you guys next Wednesday.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All righty. Take care, folks. Bye.